think we can dive directly in. And Yusuf, I'd like to start with you. From a vantage point of Wassel, what are the most significant drivers you see that enable AI and infrastructure for you today? And more importantly, what does building for scale mean to you? What does AI building for scale mean in the context of Wassel?
Okay, thank you for inviting me and to be part of this event. I think there is two ways to answer this question, and you choose which one you want. There's an academic way, bullet point, hyperautomation, scalability. If you want that, I will go. Or there is a real life example with a perspective.
Let's talk about the real life example.
Okay, let's make it live. Yes. Then let me give you a perspective. In the last 7 days only, we announced 2 projects, which is going to deliver literally 70,000 units, apart from the hotel and the golf courses. This is only 2 projects, apart from massive project pipeline we have in our massive backlog of the project in our pipeline. So typical way to deliver those assets are what? It goes through product life cycle. What is meaning of product life cycle? You need to do feasibility, you need to do planning, you need to do budgeting, you need to do design, you need to do construction, which means different stakeholders. Then you need to move it to the operation after 3 to 5 years. Then you need to operate. This is a typical product life cycle that any organization go through. Traditional way, depending on the people, paper, it take a lot of the time to delay. In today's world, I don't think it's anymore it's a luxury. It is a must and mandate to leverage huge amount of the data that we pass through the same life cycle for the last 15 years for the future. That's one of the key drivers today. Otherwise, you will be reluctant. It will take a time. It will go very traditional, very manual, and you will lose the opportunity. What do I mean by opportunity? The most important factor whenever you are delivering a product and go through all this life cycle is to become cost effective, fast, premium. You avoid your mistake. What is the meaning of mistake? You don't procure the same equipment and item that cause a lot of the operation overhead at the later stage. All this experience and the customer experience who's struggling with that product, you should not repeat it. All this is impossible in today's world using a typical digitalization, Excel, and just presenting a business case to the committee to approve that feasibility. So what we are doing in Wassel, and believe me, you need to manage my time. I speak a lot. Okay? You need to tell me stop. What we are doing in Wassel, and that was literally a 3 years engagement with Artifact, we build intelligence using data and AI across the complete product life cycle. I'll give you a very quick example. For example, the next opportunity, part of our land bank. Early days, it is human-driven. Today, the model help us to say, this land, there's the highest opportunity. The next question, what product I should build? Hotel or residential? Definitely, there is some legislation. But imagine this residential. What should be the optimal square feet, size, unit type, which customer segment? Those days, early days, it was purely manual. In today's world, it is not anymore a choice to do it in manual. So this is the first part. The second part, I think you're talking about that.
AI infrastructure and enablement, how does it support your use cases?
Yeah. This was a typical part answer to it. And I think on the largest scale, like asset management group like Wassel, we have a huge portfolio in Dubai. Standardization is very important in today's world. And standardization means automation and intelligence using data. That's impossible to standardize across all those massive products using the old traditional way. So I think I took a long time.
I think with that, we'll move on to you, David. I think we got a lot of insight into the enterprise asset world. Let's talk a little bit about public sector and citizen tourist experiences. From a DCT perspective, what are the key drivers that are making AI infrastructure and enablement critical today? And especially, what does building for scale look like when you want to aim to impact citywide experiences?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to this panel and the rest of the Artifact team, even though your colleagues forgot that we had this panel to close the session. And also, thank you to all of you who are still here fighting against the lunch, which is nearby, but believe me, we will be quick. Before responding to your question, let me tell you an anecdote, a story that happened to me only last week. Maybe you remember that last week, Donald Trump and a delegation of the US people came to the UAE to get inspiration to make businesses as well. And out of the discussions, I don't know exactly what happened. It was our leadership who was there. and I was already 7:30 p.m. last Thursday doing shopping in the supermarket, and I got a phone call from one of the senior leaders in our Abu Dhabi government. We need to know where our visitors are going, what's their sentiment, and what's the affluency, what's the peak time for the different attractions across Abu Dhabi. And I said, come on, I'm buying. I don't have my laptop in front of me. I cannot give you the answer. I will give you the answer tomorrow morning, first thing. No, you need to do it now. Okay, give me 10 minutes. I will go back home and I will do it. No, you haven't understood it, David. Right now. So, okay, before starting to panic, okay, hold on, let me think about it. And I remembered, now that we were speaking about LLMs and AI agents, that we created an agent, which is a business analyst, which is connected to our data platform. And I thought, okay, I need to give it a try. I have no choice. Anyway, it was too late to call my team members, so I gave it a try. I was asking the question, what are the most visited places? What's the footfall, the affluence, and the sentiment? It will not understand my question. It gave me an answer in less than 5 seconds. I did some verifications. It looks okay. I think it's fine. I have no choice. I will send it through. And I did it, and I crossed my fingers, and then we validated everything. Oh, yeah, the data is correct, and we gave an answer super quickly. We couldn't achieve these things without having the right enablers, the right infrastructure. In my example, you have a variety of different data sources, mobility patterns from the visitors. You have the sentiment analysis across social media platforms. You have as well visitation to the different attractions and cultural sites. Bringing all this together, breaking the silo, is one of the key enablers. There is no AI if there is no data behind, or if data is incorrect. The other thing is the volume of data. Imagine the amounts of comments from visitors posting on the different social media. Imagine the mobility patterns of residents and visitors moving around Abu Dhabi and the rest of the UAE. So it's important to have strong data foundations with the right governance to then be able to have the right AI platforms. Another enabler to this extent is what we call the AI powerhouse, the AI factory. So it's the toolkit, the processes, and of course the people who are able to deliver with simplicity, like my example, without having a lot of knowledge, without programming, we could crack a problem. Even me in the supermarket with a mobile. So simplicity is very important, and creating the right enablers and infrastructure to give that simplicity to the different stakeholders and the different analysts and the different data scientists is key. Not only in the tourism and culture industries, but broadly speaking about the problem. So yeah, all in all, the ability to combine all these things and having the right security, data protection, because the more data and the more science that we put behind it, the more important it is to make sure that there is no impact on ethics, on data protection, and it's not the ability of the technology to do things, but also the ability not to surpass certain red lines. No?
Thanks a lot for sharing. I think we have heard fascinating perspectives from the demand side. Shadi, as a key enabler of technologies, what are the most significant drivers you're seeing that accelerate the need for robust AI infrastructure and enablement across sectors? And how do you define building for scale when supporting such diverse range of industries and their unique AI ambitions?
Good afternoon. First of all, Visho, thank you for the invitation and the partnership. Look, when it comes into the increased demand for a robust AI infrastructure, there are multiple, but I would like to maybe focus on the main 3 ones. The first one is definitely the generative AI revolution that we've been talking about, especially after the release of the ChatGPT. So ChatGPT and all the Gen AI models, open source and so on, they require a really powerful AI infrastructure for training and inferencing. The second driver is definitely the exponential growth of enterprise data. David just mentioned that data is the fuel of AI, but if you think about it, AI is also generating a lot of data. And let me give an example, right? I'll just submit a question. How's the weather in Dubai and what are the outdoor activities? So it's literally a question of maybe, like 20, 30 tokens,
Yep.
but then I'll get a response of hundreds of tokens. And in the past 2 years, and because of the AI also revolution, we've seen an incremental growth of the global data generation, around 90% between 2022 and 2024. Like it moved from 80 zettabytes to 149 zettabytes. So harnessing this data in order to prepare quality data by injecting processing will also require a unified data platform and a powerful infrastructure. The third driver is definitely the AI race, and we're lucky to be in this region and in UAE, but this race is between governments, between also organizations, and everyone wants to take a full advantage of AI by like diversifying their economy, improving productivity, and all the other reasons that we know. The pressure that is coming top down is also leading into increasing the infrastructure demand. But what is more important, and like we started 2 years ago with Gen AI, LLM, today we're talking about agentic AI. After like some time, we're gonna talk about AGI and so on. Is definitely to build for scale and to build AI solution that will be able to accommodate the number of users, the extra amount of data, the complexity. And in Microsoft, I mean, our advice is very simple, right? And I would like to summarize it in 3 big titles. So design, build, and operate. So when it comes into designing AI solution, a modular architecture, a centralized architecture when possible is the right approach, just to ensure, like you have a proper governance. At the same time, you are preparing for a rapid integration of new models, data sets, and so on. The second one is to build a flexible and scalable solution. I mean, you can do it on-prem, but if time to value, time to impact, time to market is of an essence, then definitely you have to leverage the cloud-native solutions. And we can talk, like just as an example, in Microsoft, on our platform, we offer the full Azure and AI stack that will start with the AI infrastructure, all the GPU models, NVIDIA, and so on, to the unified data platform, to the AI platform that includes more than 1,800 models to build agentic AI, to the app orchestration. Last but not least, 50%, unfortunately, 50% of the AI projects are not progressing beyond POC. And this is a main challenge. And definitely technology is part of it and data, but also, like the way you operationalize AI and the strategy that you have behind this AI project is playing a major role. And people come at the center of this journey. So also how, like we can support in this area.
Thanks for sharing, Shadi. I think, Yusuf, we discussed the what and the why of scaling AI. I'd like to also explore a little bit of the how. And if we talk about factors that are beyond the software and the hardware, what other enablers, for example, maybe talent development, data governance, have you seen that have worked well when you think about scaling AI within Vassal?
This is a very broad question, but let me make it more precise. I'm talking at the client side.
Yes.
Definitely. From the client side, when you start this journey, there is a lot of the what to be considered and how to do it, and a lot of the barriers flow in the question mark in the organization that you're starting this journey. A lot of the costs, ambiguity, no ROI, adoption, change in the operating model, what will happen, a lot of the things that you need to consider apart from technology. Yeah. And you have to answer to convince the executive management to get the fund for it. Yes. And we passed through this. I'm talking about real life example. When we started the journey, I remember the first presentation, it was in November 2021. I presented to the executive committee. Up front, I said, as per Harvard School, 70% of the spend in this went to the waste. And 90% a global organization they didn't go beyond the POC. Then they said, why you're doing it? No, no, I am doing it, but I will not do this too. So then definitely we optimize a lot of the cost. We worked in a very optimized way to grow. So definitely it is beyond technology and software. It's about overall change management, convincing that why I need to spend. What is the difference from a typical digitalization you do? What added value? What increment revenue it will bring? Those questions is very important to be able to answer and handle in the organization in order to move forward. Without top buy-in, believe me, you will struggle forever because you will be only spending time to convince them on long term. This is number one. Second, let's come to the lower level, the whole organization. The talent, the people, the adaptation, the skill set, the training, all those things, I will try to summarize it in one point. Let me tell you from real life example what we've done in the organization. I remember that initially when we started with very, very small scale, then we said year 2, it was with Artifact, let's go bigger scale across the whole value chain, bringing all the department. But how to convince them? They're doing things for more than a decade. Yeah. So we book a venue in the hotel. We arranged 15 workshops, round 1, round 2, round 3. And round 1 was with every department silo. Round 2, we presented everything. Round 3, everyone in the room. What was the whole idea? Long story short, is a buy-in. So what's beyond technology and software to bring the buy-in from the people? Many of the people feel a threat. With the evolution of the capability of AI, definitely people is under threat. And some of the field is already gone. Development, we talked about the development, that vibe code. A lot of the skill set is gone already. So what we done, one of the things we done to move forward, we make the people who's feeling a threat to handle the microphone and stand at the front of management and to talk about how this is changing a day in a life in his work. So those things, training, buy-in, bringing the snapshot of the impact, definitely need to be considered in such a transformation, leveraging AI data, apart from software and hardware.
Thanks a lot. Very interesting perspectives. David, building on that, when you talk about citywide initiatives and we talk about maybe challenges that you face, right? So challenges when moving AI use cases from pilots to full-scale citywide adoption type use cases when, around tourism and cultural initiatives. How do you ensure these solutions genuinely benefit a diverse range of users and stakeholders and remain effective as the city evolves in the future?
I think many of the things that my colleague Yusuf mentioned apply perfectly to this question. But let me build on a few elements. Definitely, change management is key for adoption. And what we observed is that when you create a powerful tool that is a black box, it doesn't matter how good it is, that people tend not to adopt it. It's a threat, it's something I'm not really understanding, I'm skeptical about it. So model explainability and observability are super important. Co-creation. So you need to involve your stakeholders to really transform an organization. It's not enough only to sell the idea to the top management. That's the initial step to get the funding and the buy-in. A transformation happens top-down and, most importantly, bottom-up. And co-creating with the different stakeholders, training them on the art of the possible, how the technology, how AI and data can do a better job for them to get the credits. Also defining processes. I saw that in many occasions, some of our pilots miserably failed because we were not changing the processes. We were trying to use the new technology to replace the former process. But AI is about changing how we operate. So from the very beginning, you need to think, okay, if this POC, if this MVP is successful, how do I need to change my processes to scale? And then the technical enablers I mentioned, of course, the data platform to have the right data in place, and then the AI platform as well, with the different Lego blocks or Lego bricks for optimization problems. We use Microsoft quite a lot, by the way, now that my colleague is here. We have as well predictive models. We have agentic AI initiatives, LLMs. So you need the toolkit so you can create things faster and quicker. And most importantly, data scientists and AI engineers are very good at creating models and piloting, but you need to have full stack developers to scale and to industrialize the solutions. Otherwise, you may have a very powerful outcome from a POC that it will not scale up.
Very interesting. Shadi, last question for the panel I have for you is, what are some of the biggest technical infrastructure challenges you see your clients face? Specifically, let's talk about regional challenges. There are unique, let's say, considerations of the region when it comes to data sovereignty, for example. And how are you helping your customers address these challenges?
Look, it's a very interesting topic because the first challenge is securing enough compute power for the AI workloads. And we're seeing, like many organizations, governments are struggling to procure GPUs and all the dedicated hardware for the AI workloads. And even when procuring those GPUs, they're not taking into consideration the required power. The second challenge is the data management and integration, right? Look, data can be liability or asset. And even if we take, like our personal data, I'm sure most of us, like our data are scattered across multiple devices, systems, cloud. Do we have the right governance? Do we know which data are critical, which data are sensitive, which data can go public? If I decide today that I want to come up with an AI and predictive solution to predict my expenses, do I have the data? So imagine if we scale it, like at organization level, at a government level, it's still a big challenge to have a quality data for AI. The third challenge, I know we're talking about AI infrastructure and we're talking about the infrastructure, but I like also, like to keep the element of people and strategy as part of the infrastructure, because technology alone cannot do innovation. And if you don't have all what the gentleman mentioned, change management, executive sponsorship, the proper alignment between the technical and the business people, clear objective on what we're trying to achieve, right? Therefore, you cannot move forward. And in Microsoft and in partnership with partners like Artifact and others, right, we focus on the three elements together because innovation will require the three elements: technology, data, and people and processes. And when it comes into people and processes, big part and big investment is about the skilling, and the approach should be holistic skilling that start with the leaders, to the business, to the technical people, because everyone today should understand whether what is the value of AI or how to implement AI. Otherwise, won't be able to move forward, right? And again, maybe I will close with something that most of you have heard. I believe, and I'm a believer, that AI alone cannot do it. We need people to do it, and we need people to do AI ethically. So I believe, like that people will remain at the center of everything we do, even with all the AI agents and the identity and all what we're hearing about. Thank you.
Thank you.